Just a reminder, this is a high-quality, open reel tape, so I say crank it up. I'll try not to talk too loudly. The more you listen, the more you'll hear. In our last episode, I was trying to make a series of calls through a long stack to VZ Tandem 2, and I had to abandon the call because something went off hook unexpectedly and I didn't have my 26 ready, so I ended up having to just hang up. So here we're starting from square one. The first step is to dial something in the 914 area that goes through White Plains Tandem number 1 over N1 carrier. First, I encounter a couple of N1 trunks that won't juice off. Finally, I get an N3 carrier trunk, 2600 controlled, which I didn't really want, but I decided to go ahead and play with it a little bit.
9 months. No problem in completing your...
Okay, well, I have an SF trunk to White Plains 1, so here's what it sounds like to stack into Poughkeepsie on one of these trunks. And now we'll go to Mount Kisco and get the recording.
We are sorry, but because of a temporary equipment condition, do not go through. Will you please?
Has a nice crossbar 5 type ring on the recording with low tone in the background. You can't do anything interesting with Mount Kisco coming in from the outside, it's restricted. But if you come in through Peak Skill, the Goody Tandem, you can go out to the world with it, and we'll get Mount Kisco later on. We haven't heard White Plains 1 dial pulsing yet, so let's give it 7 digits to dial pulse into an independent step tandem.
I'm sorry, we're unable to complete your call as dialed. Please check the number and dial again or ask your operator for assistance. This is a recording. 91412.
You know, if you look in any of the old telephony books, they tell you that there's a reorder tone that is supposed to be like that, 30 impulses per minute. But in practice, in all my years of playing with the phone, what you just heard is the only place I've ever heard that tone used. Now, let's try stacking into Poughkeepsie again. Poughkeepsie trunks are busy, so I'm going to go through Monticello 077 instead.
Hello. This is an SF trunk. Wait a minute.
What's funny about this connection is that it's a stack, but there's only one link that's 2600 controlled. So when I pick up the phone, it goes clitter-clunk. But on the on-hook, there's only one cheap because all the other links are N1 carrier. In order to avoid making a toll record, I have not picked up the phone for more than 2 seconds at a time. But now I've decided I want to talk to my tape recorder, so here another technique comes to the rescue. I'm going to switch my synthesizer to the incoming line and put on a continuous 2600 Hz tone. This is going to force the single SF link in this connection to go on hook so that I won't charge myself.
Okay. I'm playing a tone to maintain the unsupervision. This is an SF trunk to White Plains 1 from my office, which sounds kind of nice, but it's kind of a pain. And I sent this call through Monticello, stacking into 077. In fact, I do want to demonstrate calling myself to a totally non-SF call. But first I've got to get non-SF to White Plains 1. That will juice off.
Go through. Will you please hang up and try again? This is the recording. 9141. But because of a temporary equipment condition, your call did not go through. Will you please hang up and try again? This is the recording. 9141. We're sorry.
Poughkeepsie trunks are busy right now.
I was sending Poughkeepsie's routing code into White Plains 1, hoping it would just dump me on a trunk. But the trunks were busy, and so you could hear it MFing the number into White Plains 2. Unfortunately, White Plains 2 doesn't appreciate that, because it's a 4A, and 4As don't stack under those conditions. So it gave us the recording.
Your call did not go through.
This is the regional center, with its recording ID 9141. Next, I'm going to reset the trunk with juice, and you'll hear the handshake. Then I'll stop to explain something. While I'm explaining, the White Plains Crossbar Tandem's sender is going to time out, and you'll hear the phony ESS reorder that this tandem uses. When I finally do make a call, the call goes up to Poughkeepsie and back to the number 1 crossbar office in this same White Plains building, which also has phony ESS reorder, and in that case you'll hear it sort of fade in, as crossbar 1 reorders tended to do.
Before I go any further, let me explain the procedure. We're on White Plains 1. We send into that 099, which stacks into Poughkeepsie. Into Poughkeepsie, we send 949, which puts the call through the White Plains number 4, 4A. We then whistle that off and put in 212770, which goes SF to VZ, which we then guard band off.
Finally, I got a VZ2 handshake, but I had to adjust the relative level of the 2600 and the 3150. That's what you had to do with guard band. You had to get the levels just right. Too little 3150, you lose the whole thing. Too much, and the tandem you're hoping to reset hears it and doesn't drop.
Next, 920.
You have reached an unworking number at Montefiore Hospital and Medical Center. If you are calling from the outside, you can reach administrative information by dialing 920-4321. If you are calling from the inside, please consult your directory or dial the chief operator at extension 5601. This is a record.
430-587 and 895.
Had to blow Pure 26 to drop that one. Now I've got to get VZ again.
We're sorry, but we have a problem in completing your call as dialed. Please check the number and dial again, or ask your operator to help you. This is a recording. 2127. We're sorry, but we have a problem in completing your call as dialed.
Doesn't like 587. Well, here's 895.
The number you have reached is not in service. Please check the number and dial again. The number you have reached is not in service.
Next, calling Chemical Bank, which is one of the PBXs that goes through VZ Tandem 2. This is VZ2's main function, handling DID to PBXs, so you'll hear it dial pulsing instead of MFing. That went off hook without ringing, so I just hit the juice to get off that for sure. Otherwise, I was going to make a toll record. So now I'm back on White Plains Tandem 1, and I'm going to try stacking into Poughkeepsie again.
Sorry, but
Poughkeepsie trunks are still busy. Let's see, I wanted to record in VZ Tandem calls that go through Centrexes that it handles, but I'll do that later. Now I'll get Albany 4A through the Goody Tandem, and since the Poughkeepsie trunks are busy, I'll do it through Monticello.
call is dialed. Please check the number and dial again, or ask your operator for assistance. This is a recording. I'm sorry. You're unable to Please.
We've dropped back to Mount Kisco Crossbar Tandem by way of the Goody. So this is good. I'm going to call myself in a minute, but I just wanted to say something about that recording. That recording comes off a master tape, and prior to 1975, all the New York telephone tandems, with the exception of the ones in 140 West Street, had that recording on them. And the reason the recording went away is that they changed the text. The Bell system decided to do this new text that said, "We're sorry, we have a problem." So at this late date in 1975, Mount Kisco's the only one left that still has that recording of all the tandems we've been playing with. Now let me call myself.
What is wrong with the supervision on this trunk? Every time it supervises, you get this little flash. Okay, well, I wanted to get Albany 4A. Now, when you put 518-5555 into Peekskill, it sends it to Mount Kisco, which then sends it to Albany. Now, sometimes you get N3 from Peekskill to Mount Kisco, not always and not usually. But this time we got N3 from Peekskill to Mount Kisco, which means that that tandem I was just whistling off was Mount Kisco. Now, Mount Kisco is restricted except when you're coming in from Peekskill. And there's only one way to come in from Peekskill, and that's Goodied. So, now I'll record just a few sector tandems direct from Mount Kisco in New York, because Mount Kisco does have trunks to the sector tandems in New York. I'll record it having Tremont and Richmond Hill.
Sorry, but because of a temporary equipment condition, your call did not go through. Please hang up and try again. This is a recording. 21226. We're sorry. Temporary equipment condition, your call...
Bell Harbor MTL. Enter authorization number.
Now this might sound like an interesting device to play with, and if it does, gotcha. Because this is a hoax that Ben and I dreamed up out of thin air. It's sitting at his house on one of his extra lines. But boy, did people try to do stuff with it. It never really did anything. This is something about the network I would not have remembered, that Mount Kisco, being way up there in Westchester County, still had trunks to all of the New York City sector tandems. What I sent was 212 plus 634 plus 1 digit. That's Ben's prefix, by the way. Mount Kisco picked up a trunk to Richmond Hill and sent 634 plus 1 digit, and then Richmond Hill picked up a trunk to Ben's office, and because it only had 1 digit, it did not know what to do, and it's just kind of hanging.
We're sorry, but because of a temporary equipment condition, your call did not go through. Will you please hang up and try again? This is a recording. 21238. We're sorry.
What's impressive here is that the whooshing sound we're hearing is entirely generated by the trunkage we have stacked up. The companding used on these trunks, put together like this, is enough to create that effect. The reorder itself is just a regular old city reorder. This is even more ghostly than the connections we've had up to this point, and it reminds me of the Elizabeth City tape, where from Edenton to the Elizabeth City tandem, I would get a connection on open wire carrier that sounded like this. This reorder is coming from a sender in Gotham Tandem, a sector tandem in Lower Manhattan which also serves as a gateway for calls from New Jersey. Being a sender reorder, it's going to time out because no crossbar tandem's going to let you hold up a sender forever. Gotham likes to give a sender reorder instead of its recording, which IDs 21213. The next call is another attempt to get the recording, where I send a panel prefix plus 5 digits instead of 4, but Gotham puts the call through anyway, ignoring the last digit, and it starts to ring. It's too bad I disconnected because the ring sounds so cool through this whooshy connection. In any event, enjoy the one ring that I let go through.
That was Gotham. Now I'll see if I can get Albany 4A.
Once I get into Poughkeepsie or Monticello, I'll go 027-518-5555. I tried this before back in part 1 and we got an SF trunk in the wrong place, but this time it's going to work. Okay, we're doing it through Monticello again. Now 027-518-5555 goes to Peekskill, which gives a long flash, puts the call through Mount Kisco, non-SF this time. Mount Kisco goes to Albany over an SF link, and then when I blow 2600, the Albany trunk resets, and I can call myself on it without getting charged or timed out.
What city, please?
Damn, that Mount Kisco tone applier is loud. So I'll get a recording from Albany 4A and then call myself through it.
We're sorry, but we have a problem in completing your call as dialed. Please check the number and dial again, or ask your operator to help you. This is a recording. 5182.
Okay, this is through Albany. Hey, sorry about the delay. I got another call on the other line. Okay, this is Albany, and I'll demonstrate that I'm being held up through it.
And while we're waiting for me to pick up the phone again, let me talk about what's happening next. I'm going to set up another goodie call. This time, I'm going to go 027-201-5555. That'll go to Directory Assistance in New Jersey by way of VZ Tandem number 1, not to be confused with VZ Tandem 2. VZ1 is a crossbar tandem in 140 West Street that is devoted entirely to calls from New York City and Westchester County to New Jersey. Gotham handles calls from New Jersey. VZ1 handles calls to New Jersey. In fact, once you get into VZ Tandem 1, even though it's physically located in New York City, its area code is 201, the northern New Jersey area code.
Okay. That's Albany. Next, I'll do VZ Tandem 1 this time. When I was using VZ2 before, of course, it wasn't through Peekskill, but I can get VZ1. Goodie.
Unfortunately, I never got around to recording VZ Tandem 1 that day, so I'm going to have to go back to an earlier tape made in the spring of 1975. This tape was recorded on cassette, so it's not as hi-fi as what you've been listening to. In fact, you've got my permission to turn it down a little bit if you like. Also, on the upcoming tape, I did not mute my synthesizer, so you know what that means. And if that makes you cringe, just wait until you hear my distorted square wave MFs printing through over beautiful telephone sounds on the upcoming tape. Alright, the first step is to pick up my phone in Lynbrook, Long Island, and call a number in the 914 NPA as usual. You'll notice the recording has a little bit of that standard New York telephone announcement on it, because this is earlier, this is before they took it off.
I'm sorry.
First, I'm going to key 099 to stack into Poughkeepsie, then 027-201-5555, which will put it through Peekskill, to Mount Kisco, to VZ Tandem 1. Then, when the directory assistance operator is on the line, I will try to whistle off, but discover that my synthesizer is out of tune, and she'll hear me adjusting it and make a comment.
What city, please? Hello? Hello? Somebody's playing with a bell over here.
Playing with a bell? Nah, that would sound like this. Anyway, I'm using a synth that is a little bit out of tune, and you can hear as I hit key pulse in this next example, I get immediate reorder from the sender because it doesn't like my frequencies. But the second time I successfully key a vacant code to get the recording.
2126. We're sorry, but we have a problem in completing your call as dialed. Please check the number and dial again, or ask your operator to help you. This is a recording. 2126.
That's VZ Tandem 1, and that means we are now stuck in the 201 area of northern New Jersey. Anyway, there's a little independent company out near the Delaware Water Gap with its headquarters in Belvedere, where there's an NX1 Tandem and a lot of step-by-step offices that are tributaries to it. One of those offices is where I did my first ever phone trip on the way back from summer camp in the summer of 1970. By keying that prefix plus just one digit, which is a vacant level, I'll get the Belvedere NX1 to put me through to the vacant level recording while superimposing its own non-standard busy signal. Now that's an odd thing that NX1s will do sometimes. Give them an odd condition and they'll put you through while superimposing a busy signal or reorder.
At this time, if you need assistance, please hang up and dial your operator. This is a recording. 12. I'm sorry, the number you have reached is changed or not in service at this time. If you need assistance, please hang up and dial your operator. This is a recording. 12. I'm sorry.
The tandem we're using is in New York City. Its recording ID is 2126, but you can't call 212 numbers on it. It's in the 201 area, so this is a virtual New Jersey tandem on the wrong side of the river. How do I call a 212 number? Well, we'll take advantage of classic tandem stacking. VZ1 stacks. Now, even if it didn't, there would be a way to do this, but the fact that it does just makes it all the more fun. So I'm going to go through Morristown, Trenton, and Asbury Park by keying the routing codes for each of those places. While VZ only handles calls from New York to New Jersey, Morristown, Trenton, and Asbury Park handle calls both in and out of their respective regions, and so they can handle a call to New York City, or anywhere else for that matter. So once we get into Morristown, we'll be able to go anywhere. VZ Tandem will stack into Morristown, Morristown will stack into Trenton, Trenton will stack into Asbury Park, and then once in Asbury Park, I'll call Ben. Calling Ben from my house should cost 8.2 cents, but routing it this way, through the Goody Tandem, will make no record at all, and it'll end up being free. But the motive wasn't to save the 8.2 cents, it was to get all this cool network stuff on tape, because by now we knew it was going, and we wanted to get it preserved before it went away entirely.
you do?
Okay, get this. This is wonderful.
Talk louder.
Okay, from into VZ we go 046, right?
Yeah. Wait, VZ Stacks?
VZ stacks.
Oh, great! These are the greatest tapes ever.
Yeah,
I wanted to preserve VZ Tandem.
and it's all goody too. Okay, well let me tell you what I did. 046 into VZ. Clunk clunk. Into that we go 609054. Clunk clunk.
Yeah.
Then into that we go 201002.
Wait a second. Do you mean that you're saying that Morristown,
With stack into Trenton.
what'd you put into Morristown?
609054.
Oh, I see. And then you put in 201, what?
002.
Wait, you mean the Morristown was stack 609054?
Yes.
Oh, well, I had not recorded that.
Yeah, well, now it is.
Oh, I see. And then you can go, right. Less. Oh, that's better transmission.
Sure is.
Say something.
Something.
Very good. Hello.
Hello.
Good transmission.
Yeah, you know, this call is amazing. Do you know how this call is routing? It's going from my office to White Plains 1.
Via N1 Juice
Right. Then to Poughkeepsie,
wire line.
N1.
All right, another N1. Very good.
Then to Peekskill, to Mount Kisco, to VZ.
You heard it right.
Yes, that's VZ.
On the one. That's right, ladies. You heard
To
it
126. Then from VZ goes to Morristown,
right. A la 046.
right, and then to Trenton, 609054, and then to Asbury Park, and then to New York.
Now let's get the recording from Morristown and from Asbury Park. First I'll whistle off, which takes me back to VZ1, go 046 by itself, which makes VZ stack into Morristown, and then key a vacant code.
I'm sorry, we are unable to complete your call as dialed. Please check the number and dial again or ask your operator for assistance. This is a recording, 20114.
Now let's hear Asbury Park's recording. I'll whistle off to drop back to VZ1, go 046 for Morristown, then 002 to stack into Asbury Park. Then I'll key something that Asbury Park didn't like and we'll hear its recording.
Dial. Please check the number and dial again or ask your operator for assistance. This is a recording, 20112.
Now that we've grown accustomed to this non-hi-fi recording, let's just go back to something we heard earlier.
We're sorry, but because of a temporary equipment condition, your call did not go through. Will you please hang up and try again? This is a recording, 21238. This is a recording, 20112. This is a recording, 21238.
That's the difference in the signal-to-noise ratio between these two recordings, and I really wish I'd recorded more things directly to open reel. Now, just in case that difference wasn't striking, let's compare the sound of the carrier noise from Lynbrook to White Plains from the non-hi-fi recording. And here's the hi-fi recording. So just a few more details of that carrier sound are coming through on that recording there. Well, that's it for this segment, and I hope you've enjoyed this. I know it's all about going absolutely nowhere, but having a great time doing it and enjoying the scenery along the way. You know, listening to these old recordings and such hi-fi versions of it, I begin to feel as if these are current events. So just to reassure myself that this is the 21st century and I'm reviewing old tapes here, Let me just turn on the radio, and I'm sure I'll hear something that'll bring me right back to reality. Hold on a second here.
Next by the international. We're invited to the sun.
Way down inside.
Can you friggin' believe that? It's the 21st century. How could they be playing something from the 70s like that as if it were still relevant? I tell you, some people are just living in the past. God. Well, anyway, I'm going dancing now. Where's my leisure suit?
Get down.